Well, good morning, everybody. This is Paladis Gonzalez. It's Friday, September 30th, and I am behind on my video blogs. I haven't uploaded any of them, so hopefully, by the time you watch all these videos, it's going to be Saturday. And yeah, so I have a lot of late video blogs, and we're going to post them as soon as I can today. Just motivation. Oh gosh, and so yeah. It's Friday. I got my session of Dungeons and Dragons today. For those that don't know, I play Dungeons and Dragons, which is a role-playing game, and I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons since I was in college in 1993 in Puerto Rico. And I see Dungeons and Dragons evolve from Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and to Dungeons and Dragons, and then Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition, and then Dungeons and Dragons now, the current version that I'm playing, 5th edition. I play a druid. Before that, I used to play fighters and monks, and so yeah. So I like playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's to me, it's a fun game. I like it, and so yeah. And it has helped me focus. It helped me forget about life sometimes. But I do enjoy it. It's very creative, and I think it's probably like I also like sword and sorcery films, and used to be big watching back in the early '80s, like Conan the Barbarian and low budget sword and sorcery films. Like I totally enjoy that, and then I have read books about that, and so I've been a big fan of that. It has sparked my creativity, has sparked my interest in other things, especially when it comes to theater and learning stage combat and learning how to use a sword. It was because of Dungeons and Dragons. I always wanted to learn how to use a sword. So yeah, and the fact is, like, Dungeons and Dragons is everywhere now. Like, even in popular media now, like, we see Dungeons and Dragons being part of a Netflix series of Stranger Things. That was one of the first things that was Dungeons and Dragons. We see part, if you watch E.T. back in the 80s, that movie also had a scene where they were playing Dungeons and Dragons, and then we see in Cobra Kai season 5, there's also a scene of Dungeons and Dragons, which I was surprised to see. I was not expecting that, and all of a sudden Dungeons and Dragons made it into Cobra Kai season 5, and there's a scene where the character is talking like, "Oh, I play a monk, and this monk that want to be part of this dojo, and yada yada," and it was so interesting. And so yeah, definitely I can see why someone would like to practice martial arts, especially if they play a monk. For me, it's professional wrestling, and I remember one time when I got D&D 3.0, I wanted to make a monk too, but a monk that could grapple and just like be similar to being in wrestling, pretty much, and you could actually do that. You could make a monk that would grapple. It was interesting. In any case, so yeah, we have Dungeons and Dragons, and today I will be playing Dungeons and Dragons. Like I said, I play online. It's an online game. I would rather prefer to play in person, but with my schedule and not having enough time, it's a bit difficult to make time for that. But I don't know, I've been tempted to start playing a game on Sundays because I no longer have to go work on Sundays. So I'm thinking maybe I could just start a game on Sundays, a game of Dungeons and Dragons, invite some friends and people that I know to play, and maybe meet in a public place or just invite them to my apartment to play. But I don't know. I've just been thinking. I got a bunch of books. I got a bunch of resources, and that's the thing. I also like the other games besides Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons is not the only role-playing game that I have. When I was younger, I got introduced also. There were 2 games that I got introduced when I was younger. One was besides Dungeons and Dragons, and one was because I have a friend of mine in high school, one of my classmates, he gave me a book of GURPS third edition. I was like, oh, what is this? And it was generic universal replay system. That was one of the systems that I had, and it was interesting. It was a different. It uses D6s, so I didn't have to have like polyhedral dice to play the game. That made it interesting. And what I like about the game, it was like you could put it everywhere you wanted to. And I enjoyed the game. It was a point-based system, and I used to run it and play with somebody. I made a ninja character because I was obsessed with ninjas back then when I was younger. I admit it. I'm such a weird person. Yeah, so I made a ninja character that could travel through time, and I ran an adventure that will travel through time and try to like fix history, because I was obsessed with Back to the Future. Yeah, I always been obsessed with Back to the Future. Even wanted to make my car. I had a Nissan silver color car that my dad gave me, and I used to pretend that that it was a DeLorean time machine. Yeah, and at some point I wanted to put a flux capacitor in my car to travel 88 miles an hour and travel through time. Yeah, talk about having a lot of like imagination. Yes, that's me. That's really me. That's the kind of person that I am. Yeah. Going back to Dungeons and Dragons, so like GURPS introduced me to that. Then in one trip for the National Honor Society, I ended up getting a game called Call of Cthulhu, which I didn't like too much, but I ended up playing one session. It was interesting. And at that time, I think I was in the episode of the real Ghostbusters of the Call of Cthulhu, where Cthulhu Mantis made into the real Ghostbusters cartoon. And then after that, I ended up getting introduced by another friend of mine. He had a Star Wars, the original D6 game by Western Game, and that got me interested in Star Wars role-playing game. I never expected that they were going to make a game, but it was fun because you're part of the Herbal Alliance, and you're trying to defeat the Empire. And I was like, okay, I like that. And you can pilot a spaceship and all that kind of stuff, and you can play a Jedi. And the fact that I can play a Jedi, great! I want to be a Jedi. So that got me introduced into different games, styles of play. And then of course I discovered superhero games, and I do like superheroes, I do like comic books, and the one thing that I like was I got introduced to different type of superhero games, and the one that I found that I like quite a lot, and I used to have the second edition, was Mutants and Masterminds, but also in GURPS there was a superhero campaign, and I feel like GURPS is great for superhero gaming. I think that's just my perception of it. Champions is okay. I played it one time, but the system is also alright, but it's not my favorite system. Dungeons and Dragons at one point had a modern D20 modern, and with that they came out a bunch of like superhero games, and I got interested in them, and but they were okay systems. The 20, they're simplified version. I think I like the D20 system because it simplified the math and the character creation. One of them was, and then White Wolf came up with Aberrant, and then also Street Fighter at one point, their role-playing game. I used to have that game, and Street Fighter, I got interested because I like fighting games, but Street Fighter also has storytelling elements to it. It was not only about like fighting another person and all that kind of stuff. Just like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle RPG game, a lot of people thought like, well, you will always be playing a turtle, right? No, you don't play a turtle. You can actually, what I like about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle role-playing game is that you can take an animal, any type of animal, a lion, an elephant, a zebra, and mutate that animal with human characteristics, and you can play that animal. So you didn't have to play at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle at the time, Though the antagonists in the game focus on the elements of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles being part of the war, but the other characters come around. and they have the version of the game that they evolved into it. It's called After the Bomb, and I have it. I got introduced also in college to playing the game Rifts by a friend of mine. And Rifts was a world like very futuristic. The world went into a wasteland. So far, that RPG I like a lot. You know, it's one of like, especially when I read the books of Terry Brooks, The Sword of Shannara, and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like that kind of like futuristic vibe, and not specifically The Sword of Shannara. I'm talking more of like Genesis of Shannara. That's the type of world that Rifts may probably seem like, because you have demons and you have people that have magic, and that kind of world like that, it's super interesting to me. I love that kind of world that is like pretty much devastated by war and destruction of human beings making bad decisions, which it could become a reality, honestly. So I enjoyed that game. Again, it had a different mechanics, but also I already knew about the system because I was introduced to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle role-playing game. So definitely, again, it was easy for me to fall interested in that game. So I have some of those books still. I still collect RPG games. And I just have so many of them, but I just don't play them, you know. But it's like I'm interested in that. And then let's go over other games like Supernatural, which I played, Buffy the Vampire role-playing game, one session that I went to one time, and I enjoyed it. So there's been other games that I've been interested in playing, and I feel like Dungeons and Dragons is not the other role-playing out there, but it has more popularity because it gets more popularity because of series and all that kind of stuff. And I guess people like the fantasy elements that exist in Dungeons and Dragons, you know. But there are other RPG games that are really good that not many people know. And like, for example, like I said, superheroes is one of my favorite genre, including Mutants and Masterminds, which I have the third edition. And Mutants and Masterminds, I love the game, I love the system, but people also like finding people that get interested. It's tough, you know, because again, people prefer Dungeons and Dragons, which is unfortunate because they miss this other games that are quite amazing, you know. And you know, to play Mutants Mastermind, you need to understand superheroes. You need to at least have a like what are the type of superhero. And I know that the Mutants Mastermind simplified by offering like cliche characters, pre-made characters that are based on like actual superhero types, you know. Like the Gadgeteer is just an Arrow Man pretty much, or a Batman. No, Batman's a Night Vigilante pretty much. A Paragon is Superman, if you think about it. So yeah, definitely like I wish people would be more interested in playing a superhero game, you know. But coming up with the idea of like how do you make the superheroes, how you make the team, all that kind of stuff. That's also like part of the thing that I think people don't understand. And you know, I don't know. I mean, I just wish I could play an RPG game of superhero, but because I have so many ideas, but also haven't sit down and organized it. I'd be more interested in just running a game of Dungeons and Dragons because it's easier for me. In any case, that's how I got for now. I hope that if you are interested in learning about Dungeons and Dragons, you can go to a local game store, and you're pretty much going to find people that would be more than happy to teach you and introduce you to this amazing hobby. And I hope that if you do, you enjoy your gaming sessions and your gaming experience, and have fun playing, because it is fun playing. In any case, that's all I got for now. Peace, everybody. Stay safe, and I'll see you all at the next video blog. Bye.